From the heart of Bradford, this is BCB 106.6 FM.
So I'm with Helen Syrop, who's the manager at Hope Housing Project in Bradford, and we're going to be talking to Helen about her work with homeless people in Bradford. But first of all, Helen, before we do that, how's home educating going for you at the moment?
Well, combining working from home and teaching the kids at home is a tricky combination.
Yeah.
Over the dinner table trying to get my son to calculate rent levels or how much. Again, an interesting maths problem.
Okay.
But yes, it's hard work juggling everything that needs doing, especially when we really want to focus on helping get people off the streets, but also you've got kids running around and also they need attention too, so it's sometimes a conflict there.
Difficult juggle. Just tell us a bit about what Hope Housing does, Helen.
So at Hope Housing we house homeless people, and we've currently got 35 bed spaces in shared houses and single flats around Bradford, and we support people to overcome life issues to be able to maintain their homes and move on in life from the trauma of being homeless.
Okay, and tell us what difference COVID-19 and lockdown has made to your work.
Yeah, well, it's made a very, very big difference, as to so many people's work. I think there's some good things, which is the government have tried to house rough sleepers to prevent them from getting coronavirus. So that's been a really positive move. Let's hope they continue with that spirit even after this crisis, so we can continue to get people off the streets. We've been, helping, working in partnership with Bradford Council to try and pick up the people that they can't house, and they're doing a good job putting people in bed and breakfast, and we're trying to move people out of the bed and breakfast so that people are going to have longer term housing and permanent housing, so they don't end up back on the streets when the government changes its funding and when this crisis is over. So yeah, we're working hard with them, trying to make sure that people get a good house and a good option, so they don't go back onto the streets.
So I guess housing homeless people is it's quite difficult to, as it were, work from home. So have your staff had to change the way that they work?
Yes, well, yeah, so instead of everybody going to the office, we are all working from home.
Okay.
So everybody's working from home. I guess like lots of organisations, we're doing Zoom calls, and then when we need to move, we're trying to do assessments over the phone where possible,
right.
And using translators if we need that over the phone, and then when we need to move somebody, in fact we can't even take them in our car, so we can either arrange to meet them outside or and then get them to the property so we can move them in that way. So it is a challenge, but it's really important that we're helping people off the streets, so sometimes we just have to do what we have to do to help them.
Yeah, so you've actually managed to move some new people into your accommodation during the lockdown period?
Yeah, definitely, yes.
Okay.
That's what we've been concentrating on. So we've been concentrating on getting people out of the bed and breakfast, because it's difficult, a lot of the bed and breakfasts are closed. There's only a few bed and breakfasts that are open, and a lot of homeless people are together. So, it's difficult for people in that environment. So we're trying really hard. We've managed even to buy a house in lockdown as well, which is amazing.
Incredible.
So we got given a legacy gift, and we've bought a 2-bedroom flat. So in fact, they moved in yesterday.
Wow.
They moved in, and another guy moved in. We got another house. Another guy moved in today. Maybe had 2 people move today, or one today and one earlier in the week. So we've been working hard trying to get more properties that we can use to house the homeless. But obviously everything's very difficult because estate agents are in lockdown. You can't go and view properties. Trying to view properties through online, looking for a flat. It's not quite the same as in real life. But we've been working really hard to try and get new properties up and running, so we can prevent people from going back out on the streets.
Okay, brilliant. It sounds like you've been working some miracles there. So, Hope Housing, I know from my own experience of your organisation that you have something of a history of housing people who have no recourse to public funds, people who can't access benefits. So I guess that must have been particularly challenging because they don't have the means to kind of go and shop for themselves. So you've had to keep feeding people, I suppose, have you, to some extent?
Yeah. So we've been some of our clients in our houses don't have access to benefits or unable to work, so we've been giving them some small subsistence payments and food parcels and arranging for food parcels for them. But that group of people has grown quite considerably because there's a lot of people that were maybe informally working, doing cash in hand work, or just odd jobs for people, and obviously all of that work has dried up. So people that were maybe doing bits and bobs of work but also might not qualify for benefits, and really at the bottom of the heap, or being exploited and in sort of trafficking kind of situations, just kind of getting by. So they're really, really struggling. At the moment. So we've been helping some of those with food parcels and some subsistence payments as well, just to try and help make sure people have got food, and make sure they're managing and keep in contact with people if they're at risk of homelessness, and try and negotiate with landlords to keep them in their house while we've got this crisis.
Okay.
So we've been doing that, and we're very pleased. We got some funding from a resilience fund through Leeds Community Foundation that's helped us to do the extra work that's needed during coronavirus. So that's a real big help to us at this time.
Great, well done. So normally in these sort of interviews we'd ask someone like yourself, Helen, if there's anything that our listeners could do to help the organisation, perhaps any kind of volunteering roles. I can imagine that taking on a new volunteer at the moment is probably difficult for you, but is there any way that our listeners can help you? You can always give to Hope Housing. As I said, our expenses are a lot more now because so many people are out of work, and it's really those people who are really in irregular work that are really struggling because they're not able to access the government support. So we're trying to help those clients, and also we have some very vulnerable clients in our houses that we're trying to get internet for them, and get them connected so they can keep their mental health well and keep them connected with people so they're not getting poorly at home and stuck in. So you can help with that. We are taking on a couple of volunteers, so we're trying to do some volunteering. Okay.
But it's all over the phone work, and especially if you've got any language skills, especially sort of European languages, that would be a real big help to us if you could do some over the phone support. That could be really useful, and we actually are recruiting online as well, so if you'd like to come and work for us and be a housing support worker, we've got a part-time job as well, so you could come and join our team.
Okay, I'll have a look at that when I've finished talking to you. Okay, so which languages in particular? You said European, do you mean Eastern European?
Yeah, especially sort of Polish, Slovak, Russian, Latvian. Those kind of Eastern European languages are particularly what we need. We're helping people get their status, sort of Europeans, because of Brexit. Obviously Brexit is still sort of plodding along even though we've got this crisis, and so a lot of Europeans need to get their status. That's really important because it helps them access benefits and make sure they're legal here. So that's really important still, even in coronavirus, to help people get what they're entitled to. So we're helping people do those applications, and we could really do with some translation to help with that, because obviously they can't come to our drop-in anymore, and it's all over the phone, and trying to communicate over the phone is more tricky.
Okay. Helen, thanks very much for talking to us on BCB, and all the very best to you.
Thanks. Great. Okay, thank you.
Cheers. Bye. And that's Helen Syrop, and she's the manager at Hope Housing. And if you want to find out more about Hope Housing, or indeed look at the job adverts, or look at possible volunteer opportunities, you can find them at hopehousing.org.uk.